Hi, my name is Gabrielle, and welcome on my very first podcast. I am from France. I was living in Paris, and I moved almost 6 years ago now to Mallorca, where I restarted my life from scratch. I've been through a very deep process of deconstruction, of really having a relationship with the complete unknown, dissolving everything that I knew in order to return to the woman that I am today, closer to my truth, closer to my essential self. And from that journey, I have created a life and containers offers that are totally aligned with my values and what I believe in, what I am truly. And I'm very happy to be able to share that today. So I wanted to create this podcast now for a very, very long time. And I wanted to come out with my voice and to share some topics around the invisible because it was really, I think a very strong path of revelation for me. I could feel, I don't know if you relate to that, but I could feel that so much was happening in around me in my electromagnetic field, but I had absolutely no touch and no hold on those. So it's really part of my experience where I had no idea what was happening around me, all the things that were hidden in the invisible, in the shadows, and in my body. And I wanted to make this podcast about that, to be a sort of like a revelation. And also because I truly believe that our stories are fertile ground for transformation, that what we cannot see is often what shapes us the most. So, in my first episode, I just want to be spontaneous, to share my story, where I come from, and my why. And of course, my take on the invisible. Because again, this invisible can feel totally out of reach, but actually it's not abstract. It lives in the body, in the chest, in your throat, in our belly, when something tightens in our body, but we have no idea why. And it's hard to listen to those messages. It's hard to listen to those cues. So it's for us also very important to be able to learn to listen to them, to trust them. So even if we do the work, even if we do everything right to come closer to ourselves, there might still have some things like a weight, pressure, resistance, or some codes that are just simply keeping us small or holding us back. And this is exactly what I want to share about. So, most welcome in my very first podcast, Invisible with me, with Gabrielle. And if you feel this invisible weight, or if you feel like something is stopping you from fully holding the reins of your life, if you feel like awake, but something is holding you back, if limitations that once protected you are now keeping you so small, then this is a space for you where you can relate, excel, and understand that this is absolutely nothing wrong with you. And it's a podcast of what lives underneath all of that. And we have and we had to dissociate in those spaces to be able to continue. And when we are ready in our life to unfold those spaces, it's when they show up. So sometimes it's like when you are very happy, you start a new relationship and suddenly all the shadows come out. It can be extremely like destabilizing, but it's actually because the body is ready to go through this. So I have spent years not being able to grasp all on this, what was happening to me. I went through burnouts, depressive states. I lost a friend when I was 35 years old. I know also what it is to push that down, not to want to face that. And I know that when we push that down, it is so exhausting to keep the layers, to keep the weight. It's extremely tiring. And so all of these episodes really pushed me to understand what life was really meant for me and what I was meant for this life, and then my healing had totally transformed me from scratch. I left Paris 6 years ago. I left a interesting career in fashion, even though it was a very hard. I came here to Mallorca looking for my rock, looking for my roots, and for a new life. And what happened at the beginning of this big transformation that I was not really expecting, it was very important, 2 very important years of deconditioning and going through a major hermitage. And it was stripping away everything I thought I was, the family patterns, the inheritance, the transgenerational story, what was not mine to carry. And I can tell you that, I think it was one of the hardest periods of my life. It was very lonely, maybe just few friends. There was absolutely nothing I could grasp on. And I often talk to my clients about that. It's like, being on a tiny boat in this very, very stormy sea and with a lot of monsters, and you cannot see shore. And my dark night was quite long also because I was resisting it. At the time, I could not really find the help I needed, the therapy I needed, and I went through it anyway because I truly believe that hope is always keeping us afloat. Love, and even though everything might seems really dark, there is always light. And it's when I've discovered EFT tapping, and it's when I trained, and it's when I went deeper into sound healing, and it's when I went deeper into actually creating my method, and the method I wish I had found when I was deep into the dark night. So I have been able now to create methods and container that I can use on myself and that now I can share with you. And as I said at the beginning of the podcast, I also have created a free practice. There is the link in the show notes for you to integrate all of this topic, because what we tend to do is like to go through the mind and try to figure out everything, to understand and to put into boxes. And when we do that, we compartment ourselves even more. We put things into boxes even more, black and white, where actually the movement is to kind of like breathe out and really come back to the body and start trusting again the body and the roots. But when the house is on fire, when the body is on fire and everything is like shaken down and the earth and the ground is being turned down, well, it's kind of hard to trust the body. So it's a process, and we are not meant to go through this alone. We are not meant to decode all this alone, because the way the soma, the psyche, the subconscious is talking to us, it is not easy to translate. That's why I truly believe of the importance of being held in those spaces. And this podcast is definitely about that. And it's the beginning of this conversation. So I'm ready to step out of my private spaces and now to share more widely about my story and what I believe in. What is the invisible? It's not really, as I said earlier, something that we can really point out and point at and, okay, this is it. But again, it's really from those spaces that we hide to dissociate and to hide in the subconscious to be able to move on and to move forward. So it can take the shape of a relationship, a repeating pattern, a belief, a glass ceiling, something we have accepted as part of our identity, very crystallized. But with time and thanks God, we outgrow in due time our patterns because we no longer need them. But yet they have become a ceiling that we keep on hitting without understanding why. And of course, when we are no longer aligned and we are kept under the ceiling, it's extremely tiring. And this invisible lives in the body. It lives in the soma. And the body is trying to tell us something through tension, contraction, stress, pain, psychosomatic diseases, or repeating patterns that we really can't understand, or behavior, like when we have a certain behavior and we're like, this is not me. No, because this is old memory. This is, something that's been crystallized into the psyche. And they are no longer quite at the right place. They've been protecting us. They've been, they had a purpose, they no longer have one. But because we cannot see those, most of the time we're adapting them. We're wondering if we're too sensitive, too much, not enough. We wonder if it's our fault. We've never learned that language, as I've mentioned already. We've never learned how to trust ourselves neither in those moments, because we live in a society where we need to be up and positive and joyful all the time. But feminine, life, nature are cyclical. And we cannot forget that we are cyclical being, way much more as being women. And I don't know if you've been grasping it this lately around, but we talk a lot about seasons and seasonal. And I can feel that I've just entered very recently into spring, into creativity, into birthing new projects. And it's nice. But also because I've been through and I had to let go into this winter time. Now I can reclaim my journey of rebirthing. So yeah, it's also about learning to where we are at in life and in all different areas of our life. It can be our finance, love story, relationship with ourselves, with our business. And at the moment, I can tell you, and I will tell you more step by step, that like in so many areas of my life, I feel that I am really, really early spring. Please feel free to share in the notes, in the comments, sorry, in which season you are. So yeah, back to the hidden parts. Most of the time, those hidden parts can be very scary because they take the shape of shadows. Oh yeah, sorry. And what I was saying is that this society push us to be always up and joyful and cheerful and to go upward. But this is not sustainable. Everything goes up, goes down, you know? So it's very important that we learn also to be comfortable in those downs. To learn that sometimes anger is necessary, fear is showing us something. So how we can reclaim those emotions, what we call shadow work, you know, because they are totally part of the journey. They're no longer meant to be separated or dissociated from us, but on the opposite, to be reunited with ourselves and for us no longer to be scared about those parts of ourselves. So yeah, so there is a movement already within us to come back whole, to come back all together. But this invisible can also be passed down through generation, families, education, culture. And those weight might have arrived when we had no say about it, where we could not really choose what was shaping our nervous system, our beliefs, our belief system, our relationship, our self-worth, our fears. And this is exactly what I work with. And this is exactly what I've spent years and years and years to feel, understand, and trust within myself. So today I'm very grateful that I can support others through that work. And yeah, my past has been a series of initiations and it's still going on. I can trace many of them back to my Saturn return when I was the age of 28, 27. I had a pretty early one and it lasted pretty late. I work a lot with astrology. I will be sharing a lot about astrology. What else? I train into EFT tapping. That was mind-blowing. So it's emotional freedom technique. It's tapping through a certain specific meridian point, talking to the fear center, the amygdala in the brain. So what I love about this technique is, yes, it is energetic, but it's also totally landed. It works with the body system and it teaches us in a very, very soft and beautiful way to detach from the story, to detach from the memory of it, to detach from the emotion, to let the emotion be channeled through us and not to be blocked within the parts of our body. so we don't create those knots within our body system. I am not trained in systemic constellation, so it's also such a beautiful technique to have an amazing conversation with your psyche, with your subconscious. And I just said I studied astrology, and I'm really into evolutionary astrology. I use it a lot as a somatic tool to see really where the energy is stuck in the chart, where it needs with the transit to be ready to be released. And what I love also when I bring all this together is how we can really trust the process, and how I can really trust my body and my innate gifts to be on this, like human, beautiful woman journey. So yeah, astrology is for me a very profound tool of self-knowledge, and also like an amazing map to come back to who we truly are. And all of this together, I mixing them, and yeah, I've created my own technique to really bring light where light needs to be, where light needs to be, where the things need to be seen, where they are ready to be seen, and in that way for us to become our own best caretaker. A way of learning how to truly take care of ourselves, slowly, layer by layer, to arrive what is essential, to the essential, the self, and removing the layers to arrive to the essence, becoming fully yourself, fully embodied in our truth. It's a deep, sensitive, and very possible work. I've done it. This beginning of the year, I went through a very introspective period, and I was turned inward. I really had to go pretty deep inward. I'm a person that is pretty much geared forward, so it was kind of hard to accept, but I felt that I really needed that. And I could feel the shift, and it was very precious. I'm very happy that I really, dove deep into this and really took care of myself and be in touch with all those parts that needed rest, that needed to stop. So now I can feel this inner spring, this inner well that is connected to source, and that is ready to share it. Yeah. It's a really beautiful way to move through that. So I feel ready to open, ready to share, ready to speak more widely. This podcast is a part of that movement. Today is very emotional and intentional. It's the new moon in Gemini. Gemini is my north node. So my Dharma, the direction of my Dharma, of what I'm supposed to do here. So my name is also Gabrielle, the messenger. So it's about communication, transmission, sharing, being curious, being open-minded, being inspired by others. The new moon is planting new seeds. So it feels quite right for me to begin here, to be spontaneous with my accent, to share my story. And I really hope this resonates with you. Each episode will explore a specific symptom, a pattern, an experience. So if there is something that you would like to hear about, please let me know in the comments. A specific struggle that you would like to name, unpack, bring into your body. Trace it back to the roots, let me know. Each episode will include an integrative practice. You will always find the link in the show notes. It will be always with sound, with tapping, with reprogramming practice to really support the somatic shift, because understanding needs to move through the body. The body must be involved. What else I want to tell you? So that's one thing about the practice. And if you feel like going deeper with me, with my work, I can also offer essential care. It's this method that I've created. It's a private one-on-one. It lasts for 6 months, so we can really, really dive into a topic. It's very much about if you are at a turning point in your life and you need to be held, you need really to be profoundly held during this process. I combine all the modalities I was talking about, the tool, my method that I've developed over the years. There are also the root sessions where I use more EFT tapping. Quantum healing will be central in those sessions, alongside, of course, the other approaches that naturally emerge during my work. Within also this work, what I can tell you is that I have become so intuitive. Like, I can tell you that my channel has opened and I feel grounded and rooted, and I trust my body, I trust my channel, I trust my guidance, and I'm very happy to share all this work in the service. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being curious. Thank you for trusting this. So this is the Invisible with me, with Gabrielle, and this is just the beginning. Take really, really good care of yourself. From my heart, thank you so much. I'm very grateful, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Please feel free to share in the notes, in the comments, and yeah, just thank you.